She understood the key to leadership. She came out, every time she came out, she stood out. The way she dressed, the way she looked, she made a statement. Then she had that better life something that she ran like a well-oiled machine. She ran that better life. It was an incredible thing. If I was her, really, I'd have just been chilling and enjoying myself as wife of the president, as first lady. But she didn't do that. She worked. She labored. She wanted to leave a legacy. She understood. She saw things in the future, saw things from the future, understood that, see, posterity will judge her one day. What did she do while she was here? What difference did she make, And yes, I agree. Maryam Babangida defined the office of First Lady in Africa. Those kind of monarchies, those courts in Britain, those courts in France, those top-level diplomats, those courtiers, those men who understood the going in and coming out of high society. That man was that kind of man. He just happened to be in the army. So, he just knew what to do, when to do, how to do. He understood that allowing this woman, Maryam, my wife, to take this position wasn't taking anything from me. I'd flag, This is one thing I understand about greatness. The bigger you are, the bigger the mistakes you're going to make.
What do you mean?
The bigger you are, the bigger the mistakes you're going to make. You see,
how?
Great men, when they make a mistake, because for you to be great, it means you attempt something really huge. You try something great, and if you miss it, that's a mistake. You are going to suffer for that mistake. Like this book we're doing, I've told the man, don't put anything, don't hide anything. Say everything. They say, some things we can't say, because some of those players are alive today. You're going to destroy their career. You're going to destroy their position. And, people don't take kindly to being destroyed. And I'm thinking that, this is Nigeria. The only way we can move forward is to open up everything. I'll tell you this about him again. When I used to go and see him, he would say, does your boss know you're here? I'll say, I told him I was coming to Minna. He say, me, I'm a man under authority. I don't do anything and disrespect my boss. So I was wondering, you have boss. You're IBB now. I didn't say that, but he started mentioning names. He said, you see, Obasanjo is my boss. He started mentioning names. Buhari. I said, I was shocked. I said, but you are IBB. You have no boss. But he said, no.
Well, it's another very lovely, unique moment in the city of Abuja, Federal Capital Territory, Nigeria, the Federal Capital Territory city of Nigeria in West Africa. As we meet the man, a very wonderfully made, fearfully designed, intelligently designed young man, innovative, creative, proactive, strategic, the poet, journalist, writer, thinker, philosopher, the sage, as is fondly called, is called the sage of the Niger, born, bred, buttered in Niger, socialized in Lagos, based in Abuja. I introduce to you the man himself, the sage, Sammy Hassan. I'm privileged to meet him. How are you, the sage, and how do you feel today?
I feel very good. I'm here once again with my brother, the energetic, the enigmatic, the progressive, the large-hearted, the strong, the definitive, Benga, Dan, Asabe.
The sage.
Yeah.
The sage. Yeah. That's a great one. Thank you so much, the sage.
Yeah.
In fact, it has been a very wonderful reunion. When I came into Abuja and I heard that you were having an event for your very good sister, the daughter of the former president of Nigeria, General Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida. That is Aisha at the Transcorp Hilton. I said, let me put my two legs forward and see. And when I stormed Transcorp, I saw you were very busy, and everything about you was just very interesting and all that. There was a lot of things. Almost 10 first ladies, former first ladies attended. Modern. Yeah, most of them. Yeah.
Just 2 were not able to make it, but all the living first ladies were there.
So what was the event all about, and how did you come by that huge event, especially from the perspective of Her Excellency Hajia Aisha Shinkafi Babangida?
Well, actually, the whole thing is about celebrating and marking the role that the first ladies played. You know, I am not particularly directly involved in producing that show, but I just worked with her by the side. But the whole goal was to, remember what Maryam Babangida used to do. Maryam Babangida was like a rallying point for the first ladies. And November 2019, or there about November, December, marked 10 years of her passing. So it's like, if mommy was here, if madame was here, what would she do? She would like to bring all those women together and just make them unite. So the whole idea for Aisha, I believe, was to do something called Mothers of the Nation, History Revived. Revive the history. Let people look back at how these women were, what they were, who they were, and help chart a course for the future generations of mothers, women, and young girls.
And I was privileged to hear some of the analysts on the board. Some of them believe that late Hajia Dr. Maryam Babangida was much like a genius, like a woman who lived some years ahead of her time, and that it was her that brought glamour and panache to the office of the first ladyship and all that. And it was not just about the glamorous splendor around the office of the first lady. It was also about trying to create a humane scheme for ordinary people in terms of rural women and young people. Did you really agree with the position of the analyst that she was one that created that office and made the office much affordable and even usable?
Before Maryam Babangida, they were not referred to as first ladies. There was really no reference to a first lady. There was, that's the wife of Gawan. That's the wife of Murtala Mohammed. That's the wife of Azikwe. But, whether they were called first ladies or not, they were the wives of the president. They were the leading women in society, in government, in the country at the time. So, but it was in the time of Maryam Babangida that the term First Lady gained some degree of prominence. Suddenly, First Lady became an important something. She kind of turned the spotlight to that office suddenly. She was a strong woman. She was a woman with a vision. Sometimes because she was married to a very powerful man, it's hard to see her for who she was, because Babangida was a very powerful, very larger than life personality. He was a very huge personality in government. So to have a woman to really take some shine off him at some time shows the kind of person that she was. She was a really incredibly powerful woman, and she understood the key to leadership. She came out, every time she came out, she stood out. The way she dressed, the way she looked, she made a statement. Then she had that better life something, that she ran like a well-oiled machine. She ran that better life. It was an incredible thing. If I was her, really, I'd have just been chilling and enjoying myself as wife of the president, as First Lady. But she didn't do that. She worked. She labored. She wanted to leave a legacy. She understood. She saw things in the future, saw things from the future, understood that, see, posterity will judge her one day. What did she do while she was here? What difference did she make, And yes, I agree. Maryam Babangida defined the office of First Lady in Africa, and I believe that she must have learned from Eleanor Roosevelt, those people, the one president of America. It was his wife that really started the First Lady thing, very strong woman. And I think that it shows that Maryam Babangida was a studious woman. She must have studied a bit, must have read some and understood that this is how a First Lady can make an impact. The husband can do government work, I can do social work.
That is a very powerful one. The government can do government work, and the woman can do social work, especially for the masses at the lowest rung of the ladder of the society. Now, from your analysis, you said General Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida was a very, very strong personality, but in the real aspect, who was more prominent between him and his wife? Because he was the head of government, and the other side of him was Maryam, who happens to be so domineering at the time, and even most of the time. And because I remember there was a time, I think 1993, Princess Diana came, and there was a kind of press review that she was almost of the same stuff with Princess Diana. So who is the most powerful among the two of them? Who do you think was most, and who do you think his or her legacy is going to outshine the other?
My brother, there's nobody like Ibrahim Babangida in this Africa, I'm sorry to say. Besides,
why did you say that?
Besides Mandela. Mandela is the only...
A lot of people will say that is a lie.
Yeah, they can say that, but that man, I'll tell you why his wife Maryam was able to shine. Because he was secure in who he was. He didn't have a need to struggle with anybody for the limelight. If you remember, if you see the pictures during when the Princess Diana came, when other female dignitaries show up, the Queen or those kind of things, there's a way he steps back and he lets her go. That man, he was more than a military man.
What do you mean?
He was a, those kind of monarchies, those courts in Britain, those courts in France, those top-level diplomats, those courtiers, those men who understood the going in and coming out of high society. That man was that kind of man. He just happened to be in the army. So, he just knew what to do, when to do, how to do. He understood that allowing this woman, Maryam, my wife, to take this position wasn't taking anything from me. So, IBB, from what I have seen, is the most powerful person I can imagine on this continent. There are other people who are that powerful. There are other people who are in his cadre, but he was just something else. So no, I believe that his legacy, when everything is said and done, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, his legacy cannot be contested, is nearly incomparable with almost any other leader we've had. I'm telling you.
A lot of people want to stone you for this, that why can you say IBB is nearly incomparable with people like General Yakubu Gowon, people like General Olusegun Obasanjo, and even people like maybe Chief Ernest Adegunle Shonekon, and even people like General Sani Abacha late. Yeah. And you could also mention people like General Aguiyi-Ironsi in his own time, and even people like Chief Nnamdi Azikiwe and Alhaji Shehu Shagari. Why would you say IBB is unique? Especially when people look at it from the perception of corruption and bastardizing of the social system in Nigeria.
Yeah, these men you mentioned, from Azikiwe to Ironsi, these are not small men. These are incredibly great men, no doubt. Azikiwe is a founding father in the country. Really found. These are the men who, fought the British and earned us this independence that we have, no doubt. Unfortunately, they didn't have the opportunity to do what he did. Azikiwe was Governor General and President between 1960 and 1966. Most of his role was ceremonial. Was ceremonial. And the thing was just starting. So, timing plays a big role. The opportunity for them to have done something didn't happen. Now, Gowon, whom you mentioned, Ironsi had a very short time, so there was no room for him to do anything. Gowon was fighting a war. Now, you can win a war, but we know that a war destroys. So at the end of the day, our legacy of the civil war is things didn't go well. Everything scattered. So yes, so some people were not very fortunate. Murtala was another great man, but he didn't have the time to do what he could have done. But IBB had seen these people, he had seen where they were coming from, and he understood that at the end of the day, IBB is no different. It's the same government that started with Ironsi, with Gowon. They're the same people. It was like, this is where we're going to take this country to. So it was the same thing. We're trying to do it like this. So he, to me, was lucky. I was privileged enough to do a little bit more. But you mentioned corruption and all of that. He got a really bad flack. This is one thing I understand about greatness. The bigger you are, the bigger the mistakes you're going to make.
What do you mean?
The bigger you are, the bigger the mistakes you're going to make.
How?
Great men, when they make a mistake, because for you to be great, it means you attempt something really huge. You try something great, and if you miss it, that's a mistake. You are going to suffer for that mistake. There's no two ways about it. That's what makes great men great. They're not afraid to make big mistakes, but they're also the good thing about it is you must do something that is good on the other side. Now, just imagine this Abuja city that we are in. Imagine everybody spoke about it. Oh, we're going to move to Abuja. And the one man just came and then he built it. I'm going to tell you this. A man that builds a city. What I was expecting from a lot of these people, build new cities. Nobody's building anything. We're not even building institutions that well. This man came, he built a city. He just stood and then, bam, built a city. That's incredible. I just said, wow, what moved you? What was it inside you that made you want to be a builder? But we're not going to remember him for the buildings, for the city he created. We're going to remember him for the mistakes he made. That's how human beings are. He made mistakes, no doubt. Nobody's perfect. But let's be honest. This man has turned himself into a statesman. This man has worked hard to make sure that this democracy survives. I'm going to tell you something.
You are wrong there.
Good.
Because he was playing pranks with the democracy and he was one that annulled June 12th. So you are lying.
Yes. I'm going to tell you about June 12th. Currently, I'm in the process of doing a book about June 12th and the role of everybody in June 12th. And to be honest with you, I'm a small boy.
You are the sage.
Yes, but I'm a small boy. There are some things that I am not in that level of people to divulge. I am not in that level. So I'm a small boy. But I commend Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida for accepting the responsibility of June 12th. He told me this in 2000 when I did a book on him. He let me know that, okay, yes, I take it. Because why? I was the main guy there. So everything that happens must be on my table. The blame is on me. I take it. But you see, what we don't realize was that the government of IBB was not IBB alone. It was not IBB alone. There was a lot of people.
But he was the commander-in-chief.
Fantastic. But he's not the government.
He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Yes, he's the
and the head of government.
He's the head of government.
So what do you mean that he's not in command? And it was a junta. It was not a civilian government.
Yes, he was in command. But you see, he didn't run it by himself. And if you notice, if you see how things played out, we're not going to cast blame on too many people, but we know exactly some of the things that's transpired. I believe that in some of the projects that are going to come out, not from him. This thing I'm telling you is not coming from him. It's coming from Lagos and where stuff is going. About some of the facts, some of the things that happened. I cannot divulge it here right now because I'm just second-hand. My information will be second-hand. But the facts, the things that happened during June 12, there's a lot to it. But what he did was, I'll say, okay, good, I agree. I'm the one that did it. But to a large point, I need to say this, to a large extent, he was under duress. We're living in a country where we know coups happen. I'm not saying he was facing a coup. No, I'm just saying that we know that you can be president, you can be head of state. There's no mean you can't be removed. There's no mean you can't be shot dead. So many of them had been shot. Even men who are... Murtala was one of the most feared men. Do you know that? Murtala was one of the most feared men.
General Murtala Mohammed?
Oh, yeah.
Ramat?
He was the strongest guy that time. Nobody, you can't play with Murtala Mohammed. He was too strong. But they killed him in how many months? Nobody cannot be taken out. So some people understand certain things. And they do their best within the scope, within what is allowed them. Like I said, I respect him for accepting the blame. I'm not absolving him of guilt, but I respect him for taking the blame and agreeing that yes, this thing falls on my table. And like I said, great men make great mistakes. And most of the time, we choose to remember them for their mistakes. But after then, I believe that for years he's been trying to make amends. Maybe he's not doing it well enough. Maybe he's not doing it publicly enough. Maybe he's not communicating his actions properly. He's just doing it out of a sense of conscience, out of a sense of, let me redeem myself before my God, before myself. Let me just be doing what I need to do to make sure things work. But I assure you that Nigerians need to know that it is not as bad as they think it is.
But deep inside you, yes, you know that some things do occur during his time. Yeah. For instance, a lot of people will never forgive him for the fact that he killed General Mamman Vasa. Yeah. And that Mamman Vasa's coup, to some large extent, was seen to be a phantom coup. Yeah. And because General Mamman Vasa was believed to be his brother, childhood brother, yeah, that they lived together, they grew together, and that even on the day of his wedding, two of them, they were the best men. Mamman Vasa was the best man. The day he was marrying his wife, Dr. Maryam, the same thing with him. He was also the best man to Mamman Vasa, and they were in the army the same time, almost the same time they got their promotion simultaneously. And that is by the side. Basharun MK Abiola was also a very good friend, yes, business friend, yeah, a godfather. Yes. And it was agreed that he was the one that said, come on, do this. And eventually he was the one that still gave him the gun by the back by annulling the election, which was agreed to be the freest election. Yeah. Even Samuel Doe of Liberia was also a good friend. But eventually, look at the way Samuel Doe died, despite the fact that General Babangida had so much military intervention in Liberia. So there are a lot of instances when you look at history that has punctured that kind of camaraderie you're trying to build around him, yes, that kind of perception that you're going to build around him. So are you going to say your candidate, General Babangida, is an evil genius?
Evil genius doesn't mean an evil man. And if I'm not sure, because we were young then, but I remember that people were saying that he was one who first referred to himself as an evil genius.
That was 1995.
Yes, he was the one, that kind of referred to himself as that. And now, Mama Vata is not here to defend himself, and to be honest with you,
he was killed even when Professor Olenka was begging for him.
Yeah, Professor Wole Soyinka that's not his job to go to beg for people.
He went to the Don Barrack to beg, and he was begging. They have killed the man the night before. Yeah. That's bad. It was Mama Basa was a member of ANA, Association of Author of Nigeria. It was an author like Wole Soyinka. Right. So Soyinka's role was to intervene.
You know, like we heard earlier on, that was a military issue, not a writer issue. You know, so but I don't know. I really do not.
A lot of people want to stone you for this.
It's fine. You know, I remember that when I interviewed Babangida in 1999. After the first person to interview him as a journalist, what I got was a lot of questions for people. You know, what was he like? Who is he like? When I went to see him, I was expecting to see a devil. When I went to see him, I saw a whole different thing. Now, it's possible there are times when a young reporter gets enamored by his subject, a very big man who just, you know, weaves a spell of magic and you're just sucked in. That's possible. You know, that can happen. Now, I will not speak about what happened with Vatsa. The death of Vatsa hurt me very badly. I really don't know what transpired. I don't know what soldiers do, when soldiers do, what soldiers do, where they do, what they do. You know, they're there planning their stuff. I have no idea. You know, I don't know. But one thing I know is, and you mentioned Abiola. Yes, he told Abiola, come out, we'll do this. But you and I know, and I think this is in public space, how, you know, the people who purportedly were behind Abiola, those same people were the same people who were saying, this guy, we can't let him. We know that. Yeah, we heard that very much, you know. And I don't know whether they threatened this man. I don't know what happened, but this man, he cannot be here. This man entered this presidency. We're not going. You know, there were a lot of people, there were a lot of forces that were militating themselves against it. So I don't know what truly transpired. You know, I tried to speak to him about that in 99, and it's 20 years now. I can't remember exactly what he said. Exactly. You know, there's some of the things he said. Well, this things. What he said to me back then was, I take responsibility for my actions. You know, and I noticed his demeanor towards those kind of people, those people whom he said kind of, you know, advised him or pushed him in that direction.
Against Abiola? Who opposed him against Abiola?
Yes, you know. And I think when the book we're doing comes out, some of this information will be there. You know, I want to believe that when that time comes, I will invite you to speak to the author, the person whose this book is all about. Let him really explain the role IBB played, because me saying it here will be defeating the purpose of the book. The role IBB played, the role IBB played in Abiola, during Abiola's time, everything that transpired. The role the writer played with what's his name, with Kola, and the role some of your, you know, the Yoruba leaders and others played in that process.
Talking of Kola Abiola?
Yeah, you know, the role they played. You know, but like I said, Nigeria, the thing about Nigeria is our history, we like to keep it hidden. It's not something we speak about so much. Like this book we're doing, I've told the man, don't put anything, don't hide anything. Say everything. They say, some things we can't say, because some of those players are alive today. You're going to destroy their career, you're going to destroy their position, and, you know, people don't take kindly to being destroyed. And I'm thinking that, well, this is Nigeria. We need to, the only way we can move forward is to open up everything. So we can't open part and leave part unopened. But I am not first-hand participant in the process. I can only report what the man said. So when we're doing, when the time for the book comes, most of this information will reveal. But for me, just the way Femi Adesina is being stoned for some of the things he says, because there's a misunderstanding, there's a miscommunication. I believe that there's a big misunderstanding, there's a big miscommunication, but I'm also going to say this. It does not mean that some of the things you are accusing him of are wrong. It does not mean that at all. Now, I've seen people who have a love for Sani Abacha. There people from Plateau, they'll tell me, Sani, they will die for Sani. You know, but the people who would do anything for Sani.
Plateau State.
Yeah, I've seen people from Plateau who would do anything for Sani. Don't take nonsense. He will deal with you. But there are no people over there. If you mention Sani, they want to stone you the way you believe they want to stone me for IBB. So I've come to understand that, you know, when you are in that leadership position, you know, it's beyond your person. You know, your presidency develops a personality that you influence, but it's beyond you. You know, the presidency is not just this one man. There's 40, 50, 60 other people pushing agenda, pushing issue, and then they say, the president said so. You know, or you must do this. Because there are people, you can't be president by yourself. You can't be military leader by yourself. You have to have a team of people.
You call it a cabal?
Back in the day, it wasn't a cabal. Now they are cabals. The cabal is they hide themselves. But back in the day, you know, it was like a council. It's a council. You are the head of the council, but it's all of us doing this together.
You heard about the Langtan Mafia, then the Kano Katsina Mafia.
The Langtan Mafia is pretty old now. You know, they're in their 80s and they're old right now. So
right for going.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the Langtan Mafia is, you know, the time for Langtan Mafia is finished, and there's no new mafia. They didn't hand over to anybody. Very unfortunate. You know, it used to be sad to me when I sit down and think. You know, my stepfather is Tarok. My stepfather is like the Maraki Langtan. He's like the local chief there. And every time I'm there, I'm looking. Say, where are these men? These men, where are they? You know, they're all old and, you know, giving way now.
All the generals, what's the other man's name? Dogonyaro. What's the other one? The one that is always saluting IBB in those days. I forgot his name.
Shagaya.
Shagaya. And there's another one.
Yes.
That prominent one that was senior to IBB but was working under him.
Not Dogonyaro. I think it must have been not.
This one is from Plateau.
Okay. You know, so that's those ones that their time is gone. You know, but I know that IBB in the background in the last 20 years has worked seriously for our democracy. He's doing his best. You know, and he's not doing it for acclaim. He's not doing it for accolade. He's doing it out of a sense of responsibility, knowing that this country that we have now, we can't sit down and look at it. It's going to go bad. Things have gone bad. We have made mistakes, definitely, but we can't allow it scatter while we're here. We fought a war for this thing. So I believe that they're still doing some stuff. It might not be exactly what we expect. I think the northern culture is a lot different from how things are done in the west and the south. You know, in the north, there's way we do our things, and I believe that things are being done in that way is not perfect. Definitely not perfect. You know, but something is going on.
Well, let me ask you this question. Personally, who do you think IBB is? Because in the media, the Western media, they see him as a deceptive person, as a very sly person. In fact, they see him really as a Maradona, somebody who says he's coming in the morning and he appears in the evening. Somebody who says good morning and it's clear that it's already evening. But sitting with him, talking to him, interviewing him, and doing a book on him, what did you see?
One of the things I'm going to say is, I'm going to give an instance. One day he says, when you come and see me April 1st. And I said, okay, sir, I'll be here April 1st. He said, no. Don't come April 1st. He said, because you think I'm doing you April 4. Come April 8th, 1 week after. I said, what time, sir? He says, be here at 9 o'clock. I was there at 9 o'clock. He came out to see me at 9:15. I said, I'm a little boy. You know, I'm just as 2000 thereabout. 2000, you know, that time. I said, I'm a little boy. How could you come and see me 9:15? How would you just not keep me waiting for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours? And then one of the things I know about him was he. I thought he was a bit shy. He was unable. He doesn't know how to say no sometimes. He doesn't know how to say no to people sometimes.
Are you sure?
So he might say yes, and then you will not see him. It's just because I'm telling you, he doesn't know. You know, I don't know how to explain him. He's really enigmatic. He's a very powerful man, but who can be very quiet, very. He's an expert communicator in the sense that he communicates with very little words. He might not say anything. Sometimes I sit with him, he just be doing like this, and I be wondering, what is he thinking? Then I try when I say something. Then I'll say another thing. When I say the right thing, he just basically says yes. That's it. I used to wonder, he communicates sometimes without even speaking. He tries to communicate. So, you know, he's not a very verbal, he talks, but he's not a very extremely verbal human being. So sometimes he's expecting you to know what is right. You know, you're president, people are coming to collect this, collect that. And you say, okay. But he knows that's not the way to do it. So when he does that, you might not get what you're expecting. And people say, that guy, he's dribbling. He didn't give me any money. Because people are expecting stuff that's not, you're not supposed to expect stuff like that from him. I'll tell you this about him again. When I used to go and see him, he would say, does your boss know you're here? I'll say, I told him I was coming to Minna. He say, me, I'm a man under authority. I don't do anything and disrespect my boss. So I was wondering, you have boss. You're IBB now. I didn't say that, but he started mentioning names. He said, you see, Obasanjo is my boss. He started mentioning names. Buhari, I said, I was shocked. I said, but you are IBB. You have no boss. But he said, no. He tried to make me understand who he was. You see, some of these things are not easily communicated. And so there's a book about him we're trying to do that I'm hoping to do. It's not a book to sell his image. It's a book to reveal his power. What makes one man be this relevant, be this loved at some point, be this hated at some other end for this long? What makes one man's name ring so hard, so long in this nation of 200 million people? What is it? And that's I think when we're able to reveal this, then we can say that now we have unearthed it, we have unveiled, we understand IBB and the enigma of IBB, and some young man can learn from it and benefit from it and, build his own career that way. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Looking for a way to present his enigmatic credentials.
The power. Not what he did in government or what he didn't do. What was it about this man personally that made him who he was? That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, who is he after the demise of his wife? Was he a jelly, or was he still as strong as he used to be?
I spoke to him recently, and I saw him I spoke to him in December about some of these things, and I heard him do an interview himself saying that, one man said that he saw him at the funeral and he was crying like a baby. You can't expect such a man. He was crying. He was crying.
In front of his wife?
Yes, he was crying. He couldn't hide the pain. He was crying. He shed tears.
For Maryam?
For Maryam. It's like, And then this is what he said. He said, well, in life, you adapt. So in the last 10 years, he's been adapting. He says you adapt. You manage to adapt to the loss of a wife, the absence of your better half. You adapt. So he says he's taking time over the last 10 years adapting to our absence. He said many instances where he will look and he will say, I wish if Maryam were here. This is what he said, quoting verbally, that if she were here, this and this and this and this, A, B, C, D, quoting him, say A, B, C, D would have happened, or A, B, C, D wouldn't have happened. So he's just adapting, he's making the best of it. He has 4 children, he has to be strong for them. And much more importantly, he has a destiny that they have to still fulfill.
But how will you define his children? Were they well brought up, or they are just pampered? Especially Aisha, who I'm very aware married Senator Ladu, that I saw at the event yesterday from Kano. And eventually she went to marry Governor Shinkafi of Zamfara State. I don't know if the marriage is still on, but who is, from the perspective of Aisha, how do you think we're able to raise his children?
I think before I knew Aisha, I used to meet Moha, but I didn't know him.
Who is Moha?
That is Muhammad. I used to meet him. I didn't know him. Very down-to-earth people. They're all down-to-earth. I didn't really know Aminu until yesterday, I think. And you can see he's just a nice young man with very high intellect, who spent most of his years studying, just learning, just gathering information. Not, I'm son of president, let me just come and enjoy. No, he was really working. Now, Aisha is, she's a woman who knows what she wants. That's one thing that I've learned about her, and she's a woman who knows what she wants, and she has high taste. Not high taste in the sense that she wants to buy expensive shoe or expensive bag. That's not what I mean by high taste. It's like her standards are high. When she wants to execute a project, she wants it at the very. She doesn't want to see mistakes. She wants everything done perfectly. She likes to supervise, likes to participate, likes to be involved, hands-on, hands in, that making sure that everything works out the way she wants it. And she's well brought up, like her mother. She said that she'll spend all her time watching her mother, hosting dignitaries, and she watched it and she learned it, And the program yesterday, Mothers of the Nations, is something. If you look at it, you realize that she was honoring all the first ladies. She could have said, no, let me just do for my mother alone. But she saw all the first ladies as her mother. She sees Nigeria as a project that they all need to contribute to. She's still doing Better Life program 10 years after her mother is dead. So it's now Better Life program for, African rural women. It's all over the continent now. They're still doing Better Life. She's still running Better Life. Mohammed is still running Alamin. Mohammed could be chairman of one massive something right now. He's been chairman, executive director of so many other companies, but now he says, you know what, our mother's legacy has to survive. This is what she really wanted. She wanted to see young children, excel in education. So now they're doing exactly what she wants to do. And this is one thing her sister, Mrs. Jumai Sambo, said, Maryam's sister, Mrs. Jumai Sambo, said that. I'm sorry, it wasn't her. Someone else said it, that when you go to the school, Mrs. Babangida knew the name of every single child. She didn't need to do that. But she's on that campus, on that school, talking to every single child. She knows every single child by name. So she passed that kind of passion to these children. That's what they're trying to just make sure this legacy survives. And at the end of the day, what is more important is not an oil company. What is more important is not a telephone company. What is more important is nothing. What is more important is an education institution that is bringing up the next generation. That's how I see these children. I think that unlike the children of very rich people, these children will leave their mark. I believe so. They will leave their mark as well.